Hi, I'm Sarah Wheeler, editor-in-chief at HousingWire, and I'm sitting in for Tracey Velt for this episode of the RealTrending podcast. I'm excited to talk to Heather and Zach Harrison of the Harrison team. The Harrison team has sold or managed over $3 billion worth of real estate, and their client roster includes Fortune 500 executives, professional athletes, entertainment industry moguls, and global celebrities, plus numerous families moving from New York City to Westchester. We're going to talk about how they've built their team and how they're helping clients in a market that still has very low inventory. I hope you enjoy the conversation. Heather and Zach, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks so much for having us.
Great to be here, Sarah.
I'm so excited to do this. Of course, I'm not the usual host of this podcast. That would be Tracey Velt, but I am subbing in, and it's really fun to talk to you guys about such an interesting topic. Of course, you guys are in Westchester. So, you've built the number one team in Westchester County and number 4 large team in New York State, according to the RealTrends Verified. So tell me about your team.
Yeah, we started about 20 plus years ago. We had a great vision to try to change the face of real estate in Westchester. We were living in Manhattan and we thought that it was a little bit sleepy out in Westchester, and we knew we wanted to live in Westchester, but we figured, what about the people who aren't from the county? Someone's from New Jersey, someone's from Long Island, who better to show you these neighborhoods than people who grew up there? We knew that we wanted to move back to Scarsdale because we had grown up there and had such a wonderful experience. And we felt that a lot of the agents, were more just door openers than really giving people a lifestyle tour. And we thought, why not, kind of, like I said, be able to change the face of the industry by creating our own company and giving people tours of the different communities and helping them figure out which town is right for them. So that was kind of the impetus for starting the company. Our daughter was 2 and we were living in Manhattan and kind of felt like there was a need for our type of realtor in Westchester County.
Absolutely.
Well, especially when you think about the fact that you had grown up there, moved away, and then moved back, like that's the experience a lot of people will have, right? They're like living in one of the other places. They're like, actually, I really want to, I'm looking at this new place. So I think that's great experience for that.
Yeah, we wanted to really show the lifestyle of the communities because it's really not about choosing a home. It's also about choosing a town and the lifestyle. And so what we did is we created a company and our team, we serve as the entire county, not just one specific area, which is important. So we have versions of ourselves in all of the different local municipalities throughout Westchester County, from north to south to east to west, so that we're able to give people the real inside scoop on what it's like to live in these different communities. So as a young parent, you want to know, where are the baby classes? What are the schools like? How long is the commute? Where can I park? For Metro North, for commuting. What is it like to be a parent there? What are the local sports? Where can I work out? Where do I food shop? So we really created a team where we really offer a full service opportunity to really get to know the different communities. And then even after the closing, we help you acclimate to the community that you live in.
I feel like I've been to a bunch of conferences, right? It's conference season. And the thing that I keep hearing over and over again is the differentiator is the relationship that you have with your home buyers, right? And so to think about the fact that you guys start with, this is not about a house, this is about a lifestyle. I absolutely love that because it is so much more than just they can find a house online. They can see a house. That's not the same thing.
Absolutely. Yes, it goes well beyond the home. It's the entire experience, the entire lifestyle. We have found that that's critical for our clients. And that's why our clients are so pleased with the outcomes in terms of once they find that great community and that great home, everything really comes together for them.
And we've been in their shoes. We were that couple in the city living there with our 2-year-old, and our apartment was getting too small. And it was time to, figure out okay, it's time to buy a house. And like I said, we knew we wanted to be in the community that we grew up in because we had such a wonderful experience. But what about these other people? What about people being relocated from Chicago or from LA and who know nothing about Westchester and they got a job at one of the local hospitals? That's what we're here for. And I think we really have done a good job for our clients in really, educating them, not only in the communities, but also on the market. Like the market's tough these days. So that's another thing that we really try to, we pride ourselves on really giving good analysis and good insight insight into the market and making sure that people are not completely overpaying and for different neighborhoods and so forth. So it's really a full service operation. We also help you even after the closing with like figuring out which vendors to use, which pool companies to use, which contractors to use, which are the best plumbers, which are the best painters, the best decorators. We do it all.
I love it. Okay, so I've bought like 3 houses in the last 5 years, and one of those houses, 2 of those houses were in places I'd never lived before. So that secondary service to me would have been, I did not have that. That would have been so amazing because you're in an area you don't know anything about it.
And we, like I said, even way past the closing, we're here for you. You know, we've developed incredible relationships with all of our clients. I would say we've helped hundreds and hundreds of families over the past 20 plus years. And, you know, we've developed very, very tight relationships that, you know, it's been a very meaningful, and it's our pleasure to really, one of our favorite things really is to give people tours of the neighborhoods because we are so passionate about living here in Westchester. So that's like still to this day, one of our favorite things to do is kind of highlight the downtown area, highlight the parks, highlight the different schools, you know, highlight the different shopping centers, highlight our local municipal pools. All of that is like part of what I love. We call it our Disney tour of the area. We feel like we're Disney tour guides a little bit. You know, we really pride ourselves in giving everybody a really good sense of all the different neighborhoods and kind of like the inside scoop on what it's like to live in all the different neighborhoods. And like I said, our team can do that successfully and, you know, throughout the entire county, which not many, you know, teams can say.
Absolutely. Okay, well, you know, we know that anything that happens in the city, in New York City, is going to affect kind of your market, right? I mean, that's the way this is. So I know we have a pretty contentious mayoral race there in New York City. I mean, it's reached me all the way down here in Texas, so you know that a lot of stuff is going on there. How closely are, you know, potential buyers in Westchester looking at that mayoral race and saying this might affect housing one way or the other? Because there's a lot of housing policy on the ballot seemingly.
It's been fascinating. You know, there was a primary during the summer, and, you know, since the summer, literally every single buyer that we've worked with moving from the city, considering Westchester County, has mentioned the mayoral election as one of the factors that was driving them to make that move. You know, buyers have said they're concerned about higher taxes in the city. They're concerned about safety. And, you know, one of the really amazing things about Westchester County is that we don't have resident income taxes in the vast majority of our towns. Whereas the city does have a resident income tax, we do not have that in Westchester in the towns that we primarily serve. So it's, you know, something that's really important to a lot of the city buyers that we're seeing. And, you know, the actual election hasn't even taken place yet. This is all pre-election activity. Since August 1st, there's been an increase in deals going to contract by 15% versus the same period last year in Westchester County. And we would expect that to even be more pronounced, assuming that the election goes the way it looks like it's going to go in terms of who's been predicted to win the election. So it's very, very interesting for us. And it's a little bit reminiscent of the COVID era for us, where you had a tremendous number of people you know, looking to move out from the city to the suburbs for additional space, a backyard, you know, that were cooped up in their apartments. So it's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out this fall, obviously. And we have early November on our calendars ready to see what the election results will be.
What kind of inventory do you have out in Westchester County to absorb, you know, that new growth, the new influx of people coming in?
That is a extreme challenge for us. It's fascinating. You know, Heather and I, we talk to great brokers and great teams around the country, and we've heard from colleagues in other parts of the country that, you know, there's substantial inventory, that inventory is growing. In the suburbs of New York City, it's a somewhat unique situation in that you have, you know, zoning restrictions. So it's very difficult to build. I mean, you know, a builder can buy one house, tear it down and put up a new home, but they can't buy a house, tear it down and put up 5 houses or anything like that. And there's all sorts of setback requirements and so forth. So right now, inventory in the suburbs of New York City and Westchester County is a fraction of what it was pre-COVID. So you have that factor. You had so much that sold through during the COVID era. And then you also have the millennial generation, the largest generation in U.S. history, that are looking for homes and, kind of ready to make that move to the suburbs. So there's a lot of, strength on the demand side of the equations too. So of course, with low supply and high demand, what's happened in the Westchester market is we've seen price appreciation over the last 5 years since the COVID era to levels that many people never predicted. By way of example, there's a development in Westchester right now that is getting over $1,000 a square foot on their sales. Wow. That wasn't, you wouldn't have seen that 5 or 10 years ago. So we think it's going to continue because we really don't see a way that inventory is going to increase substantially. And we just have this, high demand on the buyer side. So it's an interesting time. It's important to work with an agent or a team that has a lot of experience that can win these bidding wars, because we're seeing a tremendous number of bidding wars on these properties because of the supply-demand imbalance.
And one of the great things about Compass is that we also have a lot of private exclusive listings that are just proprietary to Compass. So the buyers do have access to additional inventory that they might not see typically on the regular MLS or Zillow. So that's also one of the benefits to working with our team at Compass, which is beneficial to our buyers, especially in a very low inventory market. It's been a challenge for us for sure, the inventory, because a lot of our sellers and our empty nesters, they would like to go somewhere, but like Zach said, there's not a lot of good options. There are some, and we could talk about that, but they're happy in their homes. And then I think COVID changed the way that a lot of people looked at their home. They liked having a bigger space to live in, knowing that their adult children were going to come home and their grandchildren and so forth. So it's been, a little bit atypical in terms of like the turnover. Zach and I are going to be empty nesters soon, and we're not going anywhere. Yes. We're going to stay right here in our house. And, we look forward to having our college age kids come back home and having a place for them. So that has been a big challenge, I think. So it's going to, and I think with the rates potentially, dipping downwards, I think that's also going to fuel the market even more so and be even more competitive than it's been over the past 5 years.
I think also, unlike some other, what we would maybe call COVID boom towns, right, is the reason a lot of people want to move to Westchester County, New York City market is more expensive than ever. It hasn't seen that downturn. So there's no if you move to, Boise, or if you move to Austin, and you could then just move back now. But now it's where are you going to, people don't move back into New York City if they've left for the suburbs, generally speaking.
Right. Yes. That's an excellent point. And funny enough, a major news outlet reached out to us shortly after, maybe about a year after COVID, and said, we're thinking of doing a story on all the people, all the COVID move outs from the city who have now moved back into the city. And we know that you're the top performing team in the suburban market in Westchester. Can you just give us some examples of clients that have moved back, And at that point in time, I mean, literally we had one. We do hundreds of deals. We could only think of really one. And since then, literally on one hand, it's been so few that have actually moved back to the city. I think people are very happy with the no income tax in Westchester for residents, and the quality of life and the community amenities. And it's all, just a very short commute to New York City. You can jump on a train, Metro North, and be in Grand Central in 35 minutes, which is very attractive to people. It's really a special place.
Amazing. Well, let's talk about those empty nesters. So I am one, and I know that you guys. Thank you. I now have grandkids, so that's even more fun. But I know that you guys run interactive downsizing tours for empty nesters. So I'd love for you to tell me a little bit about that, and then what you've learned by working with that demographic, which you guys are maybe close to, but not there yet.
So exactly one of the reasons why we started our upside to downsizing tour is because of the inventory problem, right? We wanted to help the empty nesters figure out where should they go after living in their bigger homes for a while, and what's the next step for them. We do the same kind of tour. We were doing the same kind of tours for our city buyers, our city to suburbs buyers. We used to call them suburban safaris. We would, help pick them up in the city and bring them on buses and show them all the beautiful communities throughout Westchester and highlight our listings as part of the tour and give them like the inside scoop on all the different areas. So one day we said, well, what about doing that for our empty nesters? We wanted to try to create inventory for our buyers and help these empty nesters figure out where to go. So the idea was that, you don't have to necessarily you can downsize your taxes and, lower maintenance costs and so forth, but you don't have to downsize your life. That's why we called it the upside to downsizing, because we didn't want it to seem like they had to give up all of their, things. So what we do is we take these empty nesters on tours of the different local lower tax communities in Westchester, in townhomes, condos, co-ops, all some of the new developments that are being built, so they can get an idea of what it's like to live in one of these communities that have all these great amenities. Like a lot of them have pools and tennis courts and pickleball, a gym, a clubhouse. They also have a lot of the maintenance. They have homeowners associations that will then take care of the landscaping and the snow removal. So if they're snowbirds, they love that idea. If they're spending half their time in Florida, let's say, and half their time in New York, these townhome communities are a great option for them. So that's kind of what we do. We show them all the different lower tax communities throughout Westchester, and we really give them a flavor of what their life would look like, from a financials perspective. We also try to help them through the emotional process of, having to downsize, and showing them, what all the benefits are of going through this process. And the good news is now they're going to get a lot of money for their homes, right? That they wouldn't have necessarily, previously. So that's always a positive thing, where they could maybe potentially go buy two homes, maybe one in Florida, like I said, and one in Westchester. So we really try to give them kind of like the same opportunity that we do for our buyers. It was the same concept, in trying to give them, not just like waiting for something to come on the market and have it be listed and not having them really truly understand what these communities are all about. We want to try to educate our buyers. And even if they're not ready to buy tomorrow or a year from now, at least they know that we're providing a wonderful service. We've had people take the tours several times.
Yes.
So they could just see, and that's wonderful. We're happily to have them, on the tour. And they get to keep learning about all these different communities. And then the idea is that once they're really ready to do something, they'll work with one of the agents on our team who can really kind of like, hone down their preferences.
I love that. And again, I hear a lot of relationship coming through. Like, you're not like, oh, you've already done this tour once. You're like, come on, let's do it again. And it's building that rapport with them. They know they can trust you to like show them maybe they're ready now, right? When they weren't before.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we do it a couple times a year on a Friday from like 11 to 2. We tour them around, we give you a lunch, and then we have a nice roundtable kind of discussion about the financial aspect, about the emotional aspect of it. And we help give them, all sorts of resources. Like, we work with many different people that help with the downsizing process, helping them get rid of furniture, helping them declutter, organize, and just like mentally process and talk about the tax planning aspect of it. So we kind of like help them through the whole process.
So I know that buyers today, they want just more than like maybe what we would consider the traditional amenities, like a pool or a gym. It might be a pickleball court. It might be all sorts of things. What are you seeing as far as like what people want as far as the lifestyle and how that drives where they're going to buy?
It's been really interesting, since work from home has really taken hold since COVID. It's no longer people just having their home to sleep and maybe have breakfast or dinner. Now people are spending their whole days there, exercising at home, playing golf at home. Golf simulators have become very popular, entertaining, dining. We've seen a lot of really fascinating things in the market. Basketball courts, indoor basketball courts have become very popular, which is really exciting for me as a basketball fan. Putting greens. We've seen indoor pools. That's been a new development, which is really interesting. So yeah, it really runs the gamut, but it's fascinating. We've seen a number of people build substantial home offices that their colleagues can come and work with them, so that they don't have to commute into the city every day, or wherever their main office is.
We showed a house yesterday that had a hair salon built in with a hair sink, so you don't even have to leave your house to go to the beauty parlor. You can just do it right in your own home and have someone come to your house.
Crazy. I love that idea, actually.
But people love the gimmicks. It's from a marketing standpoint, I love it too, because it helps us really, attract, it's fun to write about when there's like some fun things to talk about a house. But
movie theaters too. We see commercial quality movie theaters.
Dog baths.
Yes.
Are very popular. Everyone has a dog here in Westchester, so dog baths are very popular, or dog runs. Yeah.
It makes total sense to me.
Things. A lot of creativity, and we love to see it. It makes our jobs that much more fun to see.
And again, you're talking about how it's not just a house, right? It's a lifestyle. It's a life that people are building in the house.
Absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit about your team, right? I mean, here you are, you have the number one team. Let's talk about what are some lessons learned from building and scaling your team?
Great question. I think it's very important to have a vision, of where you want to go, like a clear vision. So from day one, my vision for our team has always been, we want to make real estate an enjoyable, rewarding, a first-rate experience. And the goal was always to be the number one team in the Westchester market. And when we started out, a lot of people thought that would be impossible. But that was always a goal of mine.
Even our parents thought we were crazy.
Yes. We both quit our day jobs.
He was a lawyer. I worked in PR and marketing, and we literally quit our jobs to start our company.
Yeah. So that was always our goal. And I think one of the most important things for like people that are watching this or considering entrepreneurship, it doesn't happen overnight. I think sometimes young agents will see like $1 million listing, and they'll see one showing, and then an agent gets a big commission. And in the real world, it doesn't really work like that. I mean, there were, many challenging times that we've had. I mean, we've been in the business for about 20 years. And I think just, being persistent, working very hard at a high level over a long period of time, I think that's absolutely critical. And in people, at the end of the day, a great team is really about great people. It's transactions are important, getting deals done are important, but you can't do that without great people, and great people that, buy into your vision and, contribute to like a really positive culture. Like we want a culture where our entire team feels that they can thrive and succeed and feel welcomed. And, one of the things I love about our team is we have an amazing, team text chain, where everything and anything you could possibly imagine, real estate or unreal estate related, people are asking for advice, recommendations, and so forth. And immediately, so many of our people will be super responsive and just give great recommendations, great ideas, great support. If somebody's working on a difficult deal, or has advice as to how to handle a situation that might have arisen on a deal. So really just kind of working collaboratively and all working together, has been very, very important to us and really helpful to us and growing to the position that we're blessed to be in the marketplace. So,
when you think about those agents and the ones that really do a great job, the ones that fit in great, and let's think of 5 years from now, right? A lot could change, but a lot could stay the same. What do you think the one skill that they're going to need to have 5 years from now? If you were going to come down to there's one thing that agents need to have.
I think one of the most important, critical thing in the real estate business and pretty much any business, but absolutely real estate, is AI. I think it's getting stronger and stronger, more powerful every day. And I think the agents that are able to use it to serve their clients better and to grow their business are going to be ahead of the game and have a tremendous advantage. And I think agents that put their head in the sand and say, I don't want to deal with this, I want to do it the way I've always done it, I think they're going to be at a disadvantage. We are already using it in our day-to-day business, and our team is using it in their day-to-day businesses at a very high level. And I think it's just going to be very important to be on top of that and look for ways that it can enhance your business, because it's not going away. And it's, just the amount of power and increase there's been in how strong it is just in the last couple of years has been extraordinary. So 5 years from now, you can imagine what it's probably going to be like. To me, that's like, a critical thing that every agent has to be on top of.
But I'm still a big believer, even 5 years from now, that everyone should still pick up the phone. I'm still like, my grandmother was a real estate agent and she always taught me that you got to pick up the phone, and really communicate. So I still think that communication is key. And that's a skill that, is really, really important. And being a good communicator and having a good personality and, just being a team player, is really, really important. I think like AI can't take that away from, being human,
Right.
and having a personality and really, connecting, like as we've been talking about with the buyers. And from a negotiation standpoint, not everything can come across whatever ChatGPT is going to tell us to do, to write an email. I always put in an offer in writing and then I always pick up the phone and give give the color. I think that's never going to go away. That's a skill that everyone should continue to have.
Well, when you're talking about the biggest transaction of most people's lives, right? They want that human connection. We've seen that from the very beginning.
Yes.
This technology is going to, disrupt the agent, right? This technology, and we've seen over and over again. It doesn't matter how old the people are, how young or old. They want technology in its place, but then they want the human connection too.
Correct. Agree.
Right. Yes, absolutely.
So who's had the biggest influence on how you both lead and grow your business?
So that's a great question. One book I would allude to, and it's not a very well-known book, at least I don't think so, but it's a book that I read very early in my entrepreneurial journey when I first formed this company with Heather, and that's Start Small, Finish Big. It's by Frank DeLuca. He's the founder of the Subway sandwiches franchise. And there's a quote in there that's always stuck with me, that as an entrepreneur, you really have to take an approach of ready, fire, aim, as opposed to ready, aim, and fire, in that you have to have a bias towards action. I think some entrepreneurs, they get bogged down in the planning or the dreaming stages, which are very important. But at the end of the day, you have to take steps forward to really make progress. And you can always adjust as you go. You can always change the focus. You can always change the business. You can always make changes, but you have to be moving forward. So that's something that I think was important to us in the early days when we were, quitting our day jobs. And we had to really take action and do so many different things to build the business, grow the business. And, it was not easy in those early days. It's not easy today either, by the way, but the challenges today are different than they were in the early days. And I think it's just, it's so important to really just kind of take those actions, move forward, get the business moving, and then you can always adjust as you go. To kind of lead to the ultimate destination that you're trying to reach.
Along those lines, I would say my grandmother was my inspiration, right, for wanting to actually change the face of the industry. I saw how that generation kind of took a little bit of a different approach to real estate, a more laid back approach. And I think that helped give us the fire and the fuel to kind of create the kind of company that we felt, that this new generation, needed. And so that was kind of, she actually helped, in a way. I took some positive things from her, being on a phone and communicating, but we also kind of took some of the other things and tried to really change the face of the industry. We always joked in the beginning days, we're not my grandmother's real estate firm, but that was part of my inspiration.
But her grandmother was a real estate dynamo in Westchester County, and an amazing woman. And it was really incredible that she would come to our open houses when she was in her 80s, and would really enjoy them and would be asking us about deals that we were working on. And, I knew the owners of that house, 30 years ago. And
you still have all her address books with all her listings handwritten. Yes. And so we love that part about it. But she definitely gave us a great inspiration for starting our company.
Absolutely.
I love that. And we know so many people, whether it's real estate or mortgage, the family connection is strong. A lot of people know about the industry, know they want to get into it. Even if they have to, it takes them a while, right? They might go do something else. It's that family connection for both.
For sure. And in our family, my brother's also a developer in Westchester. So,
Wow.
so that's also, my dad's a contractor. So that also gave us like another impetus for wanting to do this and helping them sell their product as well.
My last question is, what's one habit that sets you up for a strong day in real estate?
I'll go first. I always like to exercise in the morning and have a healthy breakfast. In our business, it's very common for Heather and I to be running around from house to house, meeting to meeting, showing to showing throughout the day. A lot of times, like we're unable to grab lunch. Maybe we won't have dinner until very late at the night. So I find a great kickoff to the day is, exercise, lifting some weights, doing some cardio, and then having a really great breakfast, just so I'm set up well for the whole day.
I'm a little different. I get right to it. I don't want to miss a beat. From the minute I wake up, I open my eyes, I'm already texting people back and responding to people. Because I'm usually out in the field all day and I can't be like, texting and driving and responding all day. So I like to get a lot of my, email work done first thing in the day so that I can, feel like I can run around and be with clients and be present and in the moment at the listing presentations and whatever with clients. And so that I'm not like dealing with that kind of work. So I like to get all of that away right when I wake up. So that's how I start my day.
I love that. Two different perspectives, both work very well and probably work very well together.
They do.
Yes, absolutely.
I love it. Well, Heather and Zach, thank you so much for being on the podcast today, sharing some of the insights of what's going on in your market and also how you guys are really growing your team and have seen such success. So thanks for being on.
Thanks for having us, Sarah.
Thank you.
It's been great being with you.